All right, everyone, here we are with another video with Invest for Tomorrow. And to all the first-time viewers and investors, welcome to the channel. And to all the subscribers, welcome back. All I ask for in return is for you to smash that like button to let me know you watch this video and to stay tuned on in towards the end because we got a lot to cover. We're going to discuss about two ticker symbols that we've talked about in the last 2 weeks. I've been reiterating on them, emphasizing on them, and we're going to see how they're doing and how they've moved. And we're going to discuss about the S&P 500 index. But ZOM Stock, Zomedica Corp at 146 right now, right? We're sitting a little bit below that piece of support that a lot of articles were saying that this stock could hold itself up at, which was like 150 to 170. We're actually below it. Now, it's interesting to me because that's why I'm talking about the S&P 500 index towards the end of this video, that a lot of us are having our whole entire portfolio sitting sideways or downwards, yet the whole entire portfolio isn't really moving in the direction of the S&P 500 index. I mean, the S&P is just shooting up, which we're going to talk about more later. It hit an all-time high. I mean, you name it. This is right now having that effect that we're going downwards. Now, the other thing, too, is we need to keep in mind that we're getting closer to 140, and today's support was pretty close to that. And if we break through 140, our next support is right here at 133. And if we break through that, there's going to be some sure signs of weakness. Now, if this stock can hold itself up above $1, it is going to have some strength for the long-term investors or holders that actually believe in the company and obviously its potential, basically. But, you know, we got a lot of things to look at here because the market is booming, yet individual stocks are not. And a lot of investors can take a look at their portfolio. If you want to comment down below and be bold enough to say it, you know, just so we can all have a conversation and see that we're not the only ones. We all are going through that. I want to go ahead and raise my hand right now. If you want to go ahead and put the emoji down below with the raised hand or, you know, so forth, you can, and comment, you know, how you feel and what you think. But, you know, I'm going through that in a big piece of my portfolio. Now, I have been swing trading a lot, which is some of those stocks that I talk about over at the Patreon. And not only that, but I'm also positioning myself for when we do get some of these stocks out of the hole. You know, I'm preparing myself to ride the boom, right? Ride it up. And those are the things I'm doing. I'm positioning myself for the months to come, right? Investing for tomorrow, no pun intended. That's what I focus on. And that's the goal here. And then I'm also swing trading as I see weakness in certain stocks that I know is temporary. But then there's a portion of my portfolio, and like I said, if you guys want to raise your hands down below, that it's just red, right? It's not doing anything. It's just looking weaker and weaker. But let's go ahead and see here. So Zomedica, it definitely has potential. It's just getting weak. And we need to keep in mind those numbers, 140, 133. And then we'll talk probably about $1. But right now, we don't have to worry about that. We're sitting at 149. At post-market, some momentum is built. But we have some resistance and supports to look at. So the 50-day moving average is 157. Anything below it is bearish. Anything above it is bullish. Now, our support is 145. If that gets broken through, pay close attention to this and see how quick it's hitting newer lows. And there's that small spread between 145 and 140, right? We want to keep that in mind to see if the bulls are trying to reappear or are the bears tearing this one down. Now, since it was so bearish, this is the only section other than right here where the bulls reappeared, where the bulls tried to level this off or even turn it around, and the bears came and tore it down even harder. So that's our resistance right there, 152. Just because this gets broken through, it does not signify or guarantee that the bulls have gained control. So I do want you guys to be aware of that. This needs to be broken through by the bulls and turn into a support to continue to work its way upwards, closer to the 50-day moving average, to reach newer highs and new resistance levels. Stay tuned for all the information we're about to cover. If you're a first-time viewer and investor, don't forget to subscribe, click on the bell to not miss a single video that I post. Share this with your friends and community and smash that like button because it helps out the YouTube channel with the YouTube algorithm. Lets me know you appreciate the effort and time I put into these videos. And let's jump right into it. We're going to discuss those two ticker symbols that have so much potential even moving forward. We just have to watch them now because they've ran up pretty much in a really strong way. But let's talk about the S&P 500 index as well. In today's video, I'm going to share with you guys how the S&P 500 index hit an all-new time high, what that means for us next week, and what we need to look for. But before we dive into that, I do want every single investor and viewer to be aware of two ticker symbols that I've been mentioning here on the YouTube. I've mentioned it over at the Patreon. And if you guys want to know what stocks I'm watching weekly and live for 13 cents a day, literally 13 cents a day, the first tier, $4, which those slots are going to get filled up very soon. I'm treating the Patreon, and I want you guys to be aware of this, like a stock, right? Early stock, IPO'd, a lot of people don't know about it, and it's going to grow over time. And when I mean it grows over time, it's going to grow with people and investors that are bringing value to the community. It's going to grow with all the content I'm going to have there, because when you gain access to everything. As soon as you join, you gain access to everything I've talked about in the last 2 months and everything I'm going to continue to talk about, right? So when somebody comes in a year from now, they're going to actually be able to join on in, and they're going to get access to everything that I talked about in a year and even see how things have done. Now, I'm not there to guarantee maximizing profits or minimizing losses, but I am here to set you guys up for that opportunity to maximize your profits, minimize your losses. We're going to have a Discord really soon. And if you want to know the top stocks that I'm watching right now and next week and when this weekend comes up, because I'm going to update it, you can join now and start April to succeed this month. If your months have been red or they haven't been as exciting as it's been before, you want to join in now, because the opportunities are going to be endless, because we're going to talk about so many different ticker symbols, so many different things. But let's look at these stocks. So the first thing is Pinduoduo. I mentioned this on the 24th. It was sitting at 124, okay? Sitting at 124. And when we look at Pinduoduo, you can see here how Pinduoduo on the 24th was falling, and it kind of sat there at 124. It hit a low of 119, and right now it's sitting at 143 with a high of 147. You could do the math. That's about $27, almost $30. Now, another one that I talked about, which I've mentioned several times here on the YouTube towards the end of the videos, is CHPT. And I talked about how we want to pay close attention to see if it can get back to $20 or get close to it. And certainly it did that, and it broke through it, okay? It hit a low here. I talked about it on the 21st, the 22nd, and ran up to $25. Fell down to $19, which is what I equipped every single Patreon member with. And as soon as it hit that, it started to run up, and it's hit $30. This one's up $11 since I mentioned it per share. So if you bought one share, you made $11. If you bought 10 shares, you made $110, okay? If you went ahead and bought 100 shares, you've made a total amount of 1,100 shares, okay? I don't know what that means to you. I'm going to explain everything on the Patreon once I make the series. And these are two opportunities, and there's many more that are doing pretty well. I mean, I even talked about Neo. I talked about others. For you to get the full access, there's like 20 plus ticker symbols over there so far. You can join us over at the Patreon, me and the other investors. And I'm out here just trying to maximize profits, minimize losses. And my goal, for example, just based off this chart, is to go ahead and strike the opportunity right here, the best opportunity that's presented right now compared to the history of the chart and for the future, right? I try to get in at the best moments, as you can see with those two stocks that I talked about. Now, other stocks are kind of moving sideways, but like I said, I'll explain more over at the Patreon about those stocks and what I see in them and what I believe in them. So the S&P 500 index has actually ran up to an all-time high, and this is important for us. So I want you guys to be aware there's two things that can happen next week. We could see it spike up a little bit more and all of a sudden fall down, because it is due for a pullback. It needs to cool off. I'm not saying it's going to get back to 39.73, but it could fall somewhere between that area. And once it does, it will consolidate maybe and then start to run up again. That's one case. The second one is that this just gets crazy and goes all the way up to the 4100s, 4200s. And once it's time to cool off, it's going to be a big cool off. And when I say a big cool off, I'm talking about like a big downward trend closer to 3,800, 3,900 from those highs. And then we're going to have to go ahead and see overall what's going in the market, right? Because there's going to be that turbulence of uncertainty with inflation, spikes in the yields. What's going to be the cause at that point, right? But right now, we've had a pretty nice bullish run after this slight pullback. We're going to just have to see how healthy this can maintain itself. And pullbacks are healthy. It's just about how big is the pullback going to be. And also runs are healthy, but how long will it be running? Because if this just takes off to 41, 42, the pullback is going to be nasty. And we need to pay close attention. Now, I know a lot of us have our ticker symbols or our stocks kind of sitting sideways or downwards, but you have to find stocks you believe in, and you also need to analyze those stocks that you're in. Why were you in them? What was your goal? And do you truly believe there's an opportunity 6 months from now or a year from now? As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and let's make some money.